Okay, first things first. This window's on the wrong side of the van. And in addition, this is all scraped up, and it's hard to know. I think that might have been the previous van builder, Suncoast Vans. But this window seal is kind of applied, kind of a hot mess all the way around. And if you can tell, the window is also crooked. According to the body shop, the sheet metal should have been reinforced before the window was installed. And it aggravated the waviness of this, is what my understanding is. And when I say the windows are installed on the wrong side, this track, as you drive down the road, if it's raining, the water will hit here. And the window's designed for the water to hit the gasket on this side of the window. So this is the passenger window, not the driver's side window. And it's installed crooked. Then around the back of here, this is the spare tire carrier that ourvanquest had their guy fabricate. And I wanted the Aluminous one of the same design, and they explained that it was going to take too many weeks and was too expensive, so they had their guy fabricate this one. But what they didn't tell me was this was the first time that their guy had fabricated one of these. So it's more or less, or it is, not more or less, it is their prototype. And unfortunately, prototype is not really what I had bargained for. The powder coating, it appears that they didn't clean off because there's burrs under the powder coating. And the powder coating is rubbing off here because when they created this, they didn't allow for the distance that these pieces would cause moving the door over. So it moved the door over. If you look at that line of door and you look at that tighter line, the crack in the door on the passenger side, which is original, the door has shifted over, which I'm a little concerned will affect the water tightness over here, but not positive yet. Of course, it rained like cats and dogs last night, so maybe I'll be able to know. They used all thread for the bolts, and they're far too long. And then they just trimmed it, and this one is already rusting. So they didn't rust proof these after they created these, and they're too long. And it is also a different design actually than the Aluminous one, because the Aluminous one has one big thing in the center. It doesn't have these through, and so and it's all stainless for the bolts, or the bolt, and it also adjusts for different size tires. So this one will only work for this size tire. So if I decided to get a lift in back and then wanted to have a different size spare tire, it wouldn't work. So they have not, perfected their prototype, in other words, because this is all welded together for a very specific size tire. The welds themselves look a little bit questionable also. One, there's a piece of metal sticking out here that I've already cut myself and snagged my shirt on. And then these welds look awful, and they're also bumping against the body of the van, denting and scratching the van there. And let's go in these back doors. There are hinge checks that release and lock these hinges. So right now, if the wind blows, it's going to slam the door shut. There's no way to lock the door in the open position so that the wind doesn't blow the door back. And there's also no way to release these to wrap the door all the way around. So there's a hinge check release that's behind this panel. They paneled the rear door. That looks pretty nice, although the curve at the top of the door is a bit funky. It looks like they used a jigsaw and then didn't perfect it, but whatever. But they covered the hinge checks. So I have lost functionality of the door that locks it in this position. There's a lock. And then there's also a release that will release the hinge check and fold the doors around. And I think they know that because when they were installing the spare tire, the door folded around. And I don't know if you can see the oil can dent in the side of my van right here, where it's clear that tire came around and bonked the van. And dented my van while it was at their shop. Then they put the door panels back on without covering the hinge, or without revealing the hinge checks, and that's on both doors. So even though I probably would not want to fold that one all the way around because I wouldn't want to dent my van further, I would want to lock that one so that if the wind blows, the door doesn't slam on me. And on this one, I would want to fold it all the way around potentially, but I can't because they've covered the hinge check releases. And this, we had discussed them turning around the AC and having the blower thing come up into the head of the bed this way. And so they didn't turn it around, and instead they ran it through the cabinet and up the back, and they double insulated it, so it should be okay. But now if there's any condensation on that vent, it's going to go behind that cabinet, and I would not know. If it was coming out the back and there was any condensation, presumably I would be able to see it and be able to check it without dismantling my dresser drawers. So I'm not sure how I'll be able to check that. They also they basically didn't clean up after themselves at all, and there's rust down in this drip tray, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. Is this thing rusting? It shouldn't, because it should be stainless. The previous van builder, of course, hacked up my $5,000 or $4,000, $4,500 Cruising Comfort AC. They told me that they did that at the direction of the Cruising Comfort owner, Chris. And I have not checked in with him yet to find out if that's the case. There's a big scratch on my flooring here. The flooring install, you can tell they didn't clean the floor or prep the floor before they did the flooring install because there's debris. You can see it bubbling and bumping under the floor before they installed it. So they did not bondo the crack between the two subfloor sheets of plywood. So yeah, I don't know why they didn't cover this whole thing. The previous van builder had built out this top piece to contain the hot water heater. I don't know why that's exposed down there. Maybe it's so that I can see my water level, but I have a water level gauge thing that shows in my electrics above. They built this nice cabinet door for my electrics, but I don't know if you can see in here, but there are zip tie debris. There's all kinds of debris in here. Oh, look, there's a random screw in here. They did not detail after they finished their work. They didn't even so much as take a leaf blower. And I don't know what this spaghetti mess is back here. I do know that that's okay, but down here, I don't know if you can see it, but this is, I want that covered. Like, I have 2 kitty cats. They will be in the van. The reason why we're putting the cabinet door over the electrics, which I don't understand why all those fuses are out here, I guess maybe access, okay. But this, you know, a kitty cat is definitely going to get in here. So I'm not sure why the cabinet door didn't come down and cover this whole area. So I'm, you know, just curious about the design, and yeah, according to Jake, I'm never happy. But I'm looking around. These screw nuts have already fallen off, and I found them loose on the floor back here, and I put them back on. And I'm going to have to find an automotive electrician to go through, and I don't think screw nuts should be on here. This one keeps falling off, and I don't even want to mess with it. And when they painted under the bed, they painted the light fixture, and then I don't understand why they didn't just unscrew these things and paint under and then put the light fixture back on. But it's kind of a half-ass paint job, I'll be honest. And it's like that all the way around. And yeah, anyway, I'll get in there and paint. And I told them that I could paint, so maybe they're just leaving that to me. But I'm pretty unimpressed. They painted the bed in place, and so I had to take a straight edge and break this so that I could get the bed platform out. They didn't bother to tape the side of the van and painted some of the metal over here. So just kind of messy, you know. I don't know how to say otherwise. This looks a little funky down here, and yeah, I don't know what exactly the deal is with that, but okay. And let's see, go around here. This window, again, is on the wrong side. This is the driver's side one, and it's on the passenger side of the van, so driving rain will go in here. I'll show you from the inside, but neither one of the windows closed completely, and I'm curious to see if it leaked, if I can even tell if it leaked. And clearly the window seal caulking that's just like the worst caulk line ever, and it's very uneven. Yeah, is this window crooked too? Yeah, this window's crooked too. I thought it was just one side, but this window is crooked as well. Let's see. Again here. Yeah, this is just another example of them not detailing. It's kind of a hot mess in here, and there are paint drips here. Like, yeah. And I'll show you where they must have sprayed paint in here. Oh, yeah, see here? There's paint on the gasket. There's paint on the handle. There's paint on both bunk windows. There's paint on my AC. So they just didn't detail. And they made a big deal about how all of the, I'll tell you about the lights here in a minute too. So over here by the door, you can turn on and off the lights, and you can dim, right? But if you leave the light on here, you can't turn it on from the bed. So you have to get out of bed, come over here, turn off the light, and then the light switch by the bed will work to turn it on and off. But I'm getting ahead of myself. They made a big deal about these wall panels being removable, which I agree is an amazing idea. and wonderful, because if you need body work of any kind, you have to be able to, the body shop will need to get a hold, have access to both sides, right? Well, then they took caulking and they caulked this line that goes the entire length on this side of the van. And why they did it on this side, but they did not do it on this side. So this side, because of course the body shop has to now remove both windows, reinforce the sheet metal, install both windows on the correct side of the van level, put the correct amount of window sealant around, and not have them crooked. See how that one, you can tell that one's crooked from in here. That one looks pretty straight from in here, but that one definitely looks crooked. So either the wall panel is crooked or the window's crooked, or both. But the body shop is going to need access to the inside of the wall, and this side, I was able to remove that top piece, remove that side piece, and then slide that wall panel out on this side. Of course, these two items, the light and the fan, are connected to that wall panel. So I'm not sure about the electrics. So hopefully the body shop can, turn off the electrical system and then disconnect those wires and reconnect those wires when they're putting those back in. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, I asked them not to put in the wall panels because I knew I was going to have to go to the body shop, because they said that the previous builder had caused the waves in the side of the van because of the cuts. The body shop told me something different, and I'll need to ask the guy from the body shop to explain that to me again, because perhaps I misunderstood. But I understood from the body shop the reason for the waves, that yes, the cuts caused the waves, but to straighten out the waves and to install these windows properly, because the windows themselves are intended to be installed on 1/8 of an inch, and the sheet metal of the van is not 1/8 of an inch. And so to install these particular C.R. Lawrence bunk windows, you need to reinforce the sheet metal. I've seen that on a number of YouTubes. I need to reach out to C.R. Lawrence. It says in C.R. Lawrence's instructions or description that it has 1/8 of an inch gasket, but I don't know what the 1/8 of an inch gasket means. I don't know if that's the metal gasket on the inside, or if that's a gasket that came with the window because the first van builder unboxed the windows and then neglected to return the boxes or anything. So I don't know if there was something in the box that was missing. Anyhow, the windows are installed on the wrong sides of the van, and so the body shop has to take the windows out and reinstall them on the correct sides of the van after reinforcing the sheet metal. And so, of course, they have to get access to the inside of this, and I asked Luber to leave the sides off. He said, no problem. You could just, they'll come off easy, just one screw, and you could bring the van back and I could remove them if the body shop needs me to. And then when I received the van, actually, they drove it directly to the body shop at my request, but the body shop had no idea the van was coming to them, apparently. And so the van was going to sit there. So the guy from the body shop said that he would rather it sit in my driveway, not in his shop. So I went and picked it up. So I paid our VanQuest $200 to take my van to a body shop that didn't know the van was coming to the body shop and was backed up by several weeks and really didn't want to store my van. So when I picked up my van from the body shop, is when I saw my van for the first time, and of course the back wall panels were installed and the body shop's telling me those have to come off. So I had to figure out how to remove them, and this side was fairly easy. I didn't need to remove any of this. I needed to remove that screw and some screws along the bottom, and I had to remove these rear trim pieces in order to get this one out. This side, however, because they handily caulked the entire side, including in the bed area, I had to dig out this caulking. So now, after this is removed and my windows are on the correct sides of the van and you know, they close properly and lock, which they don't now. If you see, they will not close all the way. They will not lock. So here, you know, it will leak. And I don't know if it has, because if it leaks, it's going to go down in the wall. And if this side was glued on still by the caulking that they put up here, then yeah. Anyhow, I will have to sand here, clean up that line, repaint. This side I've already removed and put back, and I won't have to sand up there, repaint, clean up that line, because it's just a line. It's a straight line that they cut. This line is no longer straight because I had to take, and I took a very, very sharp knife, you know, designed for this work. And because the caulking is white and it's down here, and because it had dried completely and this thing was cemented in, I could not get it out without, like, literally digging out the caulk line. So what is the point of having a wall panel that should come out if you're just going to glue it in? Like, I just don't even understand. Backing up a little bit. So neither one of the windows closes all the way. I'll show you both windows. It just won't close all the way. And I'm not, you know, I'm not unlocking it. It won't lock. It doesn't come close. It doesn't close all the way, so the little locking mechanism on this handle won't lock. So I can't lock my van. You know, I'm supposing somebody could climb in this window. So it's not secure. It's not watertight. They're installed on the wrong sides. They're designed to leak the way they're installed now, because driving rain would go in this track and it would overflow out of here, because this is the front. So the water would come this way into the track, overflow inside, because it can't even close and seal all the way. So my $5,000 Cruising Comfort has splattered paint all over the powder coated surface now, and I'm not even sure how to get that off. So this doesn't have paint on it, so they must have installed this and then sprayed in here or rolled in here. It's on the handles, all the handles throughout. So the original van builder built these. This is Suncoast Vans work. They did not install these. Ourvanquest installed those. But there's all kinds of these that they didn't fill, and I don't know if you've ever spent much time in a van, but I have. Dust is and stuff, food stuff. If I had food stuff in the cabinet, would get in there. You know, like, you need to seal your surfaces, but whatever, they didn't. These are my monitors, my water pump, my water heater, my gray tank valve, and some other some charging stations and some other switches if I wanted to add more later. This is my furnace, and this is my AC. Over here, this is my 12-volt monitor that's been stepped up to a 19-volt and does work. So they did a nice job of installing that. They took out the sink, I think, because I don't know what's going on here, but it appears they took out the sink and put the old sink back in. I'm not positive that they removed this. But they sealed this whole service very nicely. And the previous van builder had put this in, and they had routed the edges. And then our VanQuest put this in and did not route the edges or soften the edges. So this counter doesn't, you see what I mean? It doesn't look like it belongs with this counter. This counter's darker than this, so it doesn't, I don't know if you can see it, but it doesn't match. I mean, I think they're not quite there yet with their finish work. It works well, and you know, I will sand down both of them and I will fix this myself. But I spent tens of thousands of dollars on this, and I'm a bit frustrated that, you know, one, they didn't even bother to clean out the van when they gave it to me. There's something on the flooring down here, and I've already tried to wash it off, so I think it might be that they got paint on the floor and they tried to wipe it off and it's not coming off. So my brand new floor, which is not installed correctly, because they didn't prep the surface of the subfloor before they put on the vinyl, and there's bubbles in it, so there's dust and debris under it. That's how the bubbles happen. There's no trim here, so that's just the edge of the vinyl floor there, and I don't know if that's paint or caulk at the edge, but they got paint or caulk on the floor, tried to wipe it up, and it didn't wipe up, so it's actually damaged the floor, right in the middle of my walkway. So drawers, they're uneven. Like, this gap here is different than this gap here, and these drawers pop open when I'm driving. They're pushed to lock, but the lock is not strong enough to keep it shut if there's anything in the drawer. They just fly open. Either that, or if I make a left turn or a right turn and there's anything in the drawer, it moves the drawer enough to release it. So then the next time that I turn a corner, it just pops open. So the drawer glides that were on these drawers, the previous builder built them the wrong size. They didn't give me a short one at top and two larger ones at the bottom. So our VanQuest rebuilt the drawers. And when they rebuilt the drawers, they switched out the drawer glides. The previous drawer glides were soft close, and they actually stayed closed. I took the van up to Georgia during Hurricane Ian, and when I got back, I said, you know, those drawer the drawer glides that Suncoast Vans put in actually keep the drawer shut, even with stuff in them. Or, you know, I noticed, so maybe we don't need to swap the drawer glides, just make the drawers different sizes. But I left it to their expertise because they had lived in a van for years. So, you know, I trusted them to know what would work. Well, the push to close drawer glides are not working. I don't know if they need to be adjusted or what, but if there's any weight at all in the drawer pops open. So I don't know if, I don't know exactly, but, and again, these cabinets up here were built by Suncoast Vans, and they edge banded and they softened the edge before they painted. And again, it's just an attention to detail thing. They did not edge band. This is edge of plywood, and they did not soften the edge before they painted. This is our VanQuest. And they also did not clean out the drawer. There is sawdust in the drawers, and this is true throughout the van. They just did not. The attention to detail is just not there. And Jake is going to say, and as he already has, nothing can make me happy. So, he went from 0 to nothing can make me happy. I don't know what these are. Are these the holes from the previous drawer glides? Yeah. And so then they installed these, and I don't think this is, I don't know drawer glides. I don't know what kind of drawer glides these are, but they're not working. They're not staying closed. And I'd put some tools in here because these are the tools I was using to get, all of this done and relocate my lagoon table. which I haven't done yet. But these are the tools. This is the straight edge, you know, like these are the various tools. And it's, you know, I'm going to have heavy stuff in here. I'm going to have my camp stove. I'm going to have my silverware, you know. So this is a drill, some drill bits, and a socket set. That's it, you know, in this drawer. And this amount of weight, the drawer pops open when I turn a corner. It comes flying out, slams open. I just don't think these drawer glides were the solution, and I can't believe they actually tested them. So I'm going to have to replace the drawer glides and I'm going to have to anyway, because, I mean, that's that, and it's not even. That's not even with that. Like, that's way in, you know, whatever. This one, I can't even get it open. Like, I have to, like, yeah. And they did not put the handles back on. So once I get it out here, I'm like trying to grip the edge to pull the drawer open. So the bottom ones on both sides are really tricky. And I have to grab the edge. I don't know if you can see. I have to, oh, geez. You know, so they kept my handles. I asked them to ship it to me when Jake got really heated on the phone with me, because I'm just never happy, is what he said. Like, I had not seen my van. They did not do a walkthrough with me before they delivered it, before they charged me $200 to take it to a body shop that didn't know it was coming. So then when I speak to the body shop guy, because I haven't received an estimate yet, he's like, hey lady, I can't work on your van for several weeks, a couple weeks anyway. You know, and I said, well, I can come and get it and put it in my driveway. And he's like, yeah, that would be great, because, you know, at that point there was another hurricane coming too, Hurricane Nicole. And so, you know, he was having to shuffle around a bunch of stuff in his yard. So anyway, his shop yard, I mean. And it was secure there, but yeah, anyway, I went and got it and brought it back to my driveway. And then when I got it in my driveway, having not seen it finished, I started finding things and emailing Jake, and that's when he just kind of lost his shit with me and was like, you're just never going to be happy. And I'm like, I honestly don't know where that came from, because this was my first time seeing the van finished. I hadn't even done like a shakedown trip. He said, well, you've had the van for a week and a half. And I had only had the van for, I think, a week at that point, because it had been sitting over at the shop for several days. So yes, while the van had left Jake's shop, our vanquest, it had been sitting at the body shop. I hadn't seen the van. They didn't walk me through. They didn't show me how to use anything. Nick showed me how to use my monitor and these things, but they didn't show me how to use anything else. When I asked Jake about how to use this, he was like, you'll have to YouTube it. Like, so he doesn't know how to use it, but he finished the install of it. Like, that's a little concerning. So, you know, I love the pockets. I love the paint colors, which I chose. I'm not at all happy with the drawers. I'm going to have to redo the flip-up counter. I'm going to have to take out all this caulking down this side. These I won't do until I absolutely have to, but this one, after the body shop's done, I'm going to have to clean up and repaint all of that. I'm going to have to repaint. I'm going to have to clean up. I'm going to have to get a cabinet maker to fix and replace the drawer glides with probably drawer glides that were already in here. Yeah, I had to order online new handles because our VanQuest did not mail them to me. I even told them I would pay them for the Venmo for the shipping cost, and they did not mail them to me. Yeah, I don't know. The finish work is just not there. Oh, the cushions. And, you know, I apologize in advance to Gianna because, you know, I just, you know, I gave them a photograph, you know, a sketch of how I wanted the cushions to be. And I did explain to them that I wanted this to ultimately be another place where somebody could lay down by swiveling the front seat, putting their feet there, and then having this be. But I expected this to be a continuous thing. And I also said I wanted Velcro to stick these to the top of this. And I guess first things first, this is not continuous. They're too small. They should be bigger and they should fit, you know, so they should be longer this way and then the right width for the crack there. And then this one would be a little bit narrower for there so that it would be a continuous love seat here from, you know, that cushion all the way through these. And then their lame attempt at attaching this to the top, which these are they didn't stay, but they had them just, you know, Velcroed together like this, stuck on the bottom of here, and then just laid down on the top of here. So clearly they forgot to tell the cushion company that they needed Velcro sewn in to the bottom of the cushion covers. And then, you know, they or I, if they weren't comfortable doing it, I would have done it, glue, like really attach the other side of the Velcro to the top of these doors. But instead, they just stuck a bunch of these on here, laid these down, and they did the same thing on here. And none of them stayed, of course, because, you know, we're in South Florida and it's hot and humid. And these are not, that's not what these are. So this was kind of a joke, like a half-ass, oh yeah, check it off the list. That's, you know, you can say that I'm never happy, but frankly, to spend, I think I gave our VanQuest like $27,000, and I gave Suncoast Vans like $33,000, and I'm actually suing Suncoast Vans because they took another 13 of that was a deposit that they didn't deserve, because all the cabinets were supposed to have been in. They told me they would be in, and then after I gave them the 13 grand and then went to their shop and none of the cabinets were installed, it was like they lied to me to get 13 grand. So, you know, and cut horrible holes in my van. And, you know, Jake was like, you begged me to finish your van. No, I begged him to put the windows in. He said he could put the windows in properly. You know, and then when I spoke to him next, I was like, if I could have a bed platform and I could have one outlet, you know, then, you know, I could finish my van next year. Then he came to me and said, well, we can fit you in, and here's an estimate, you know, and I can put together an estimate to finish your van. And I said, great. And I gave him my long punch list. And, you know, he gave me a price and I agreed. And then several times, anytime I, you know, remembered something else, he would give me a new invoice and I would pay that invoice. And I had never, ever disputed a dime with our VanQuest. And then when I wanted them to button up some of these things, like things that I noticed, like the drawer, I hadn't even noticed the floor yet, and I didn't notice the countertop yet, but the wrong installation of the windows, I mean, having them on the wrong side of the van and they don't close and they don't lock, that's completely wrong. So I don't understand why I need to pay the body shop to install them on the correct side of the van and so that they shut and lock. Like, you say what you want about Suncoast Vans cutting terrible holes. If our VanQuest said that they could install them You know, they made me sign a thing that I would not hold them responsible if it leaked or whatever because of the holes that were cut. But if you put them on the wrong side of the van and they won't shut or lock anymore, then that is something that you need to fix in the installation. And then you take my van, you sell me a prototype spare tire carrier instead of ordering the one that I wanted. And you leave the AC installed, in my opinion, backwards. They have run the, oh God, I can't even get this open. Just like seriously. Oh, and that one just pops open. So that's awesome. I don't know if there's more crap in the drawer. Yeah, like don't even bother to get the sawdust out. The other problem with these push to lock, I'll be honest, is when I'm walking down the hallway, if I bump into one, now it's open. So, frankly, that anybody would put a push to lock in a van build, because you bump your hips all the time. Your drawers are open. So you got to come back and make sure that they're all perfectly shut. And they don't stay shut anyway while you're driving because the latches aren't strong enough. The push to lock latches are not strong enough. If you have anything in the drawer, they're going to come open. So, yeah. Don't tell me you're going to turn around my AC and point it the other direction if you're not. Don't tell me you're going to take out the water tank and reinstall it if you're not. Don't tell me you're going to redo the drawers and you know best about the drawer glides and the push to lock if you don't. And don't install them jacked up, big gap, little gap, you know, like crazy gaps, like not at all even on both sides. That's just not good cabinetry. Like this one, this cabinet, the lid was done by Suncoast Vans. So, I mean, look at the edge of how the existing cabinets are and make the edge on the ones that are, it's supposed to be seamless, right? Any cabinet maker would look at this and go, wow. Okay. So, yeah. I don't know. The gaps in the ceiling, like, make a crazy person crazy. Like, there's that gap. And then there's that gap. And then you go over here. Oh, the cabinets don't have latches on them, so they won't stay shut. So they put the gaskets, but they didn't put any latches to keep them shut. So if you have any stuff in your cabinet and you're driving, it's all going to fly out. And then look at this gap. So this one, there's that one, and then this big one, and then a little one, little, and they get tighter as they go this way. Like, yeah. Do you see it? I don't know if you can see it, but they're all different size gaps in the shiplap. So they didn't use a spacer. They just, you know, put them in and eyeballed it, I guess. And their eyeballs are not my eyeballs, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, just not attention to detail. And I love the idea of these being removable. I had asked them to leave these back ones out altogether. And if they had done that, then we wouldn't have had the issue. But then they caulked all of this in. Same thing over here. This is all caulked in, right? So having that screw unscrew to be able to remove this shelf, which there must be other screws here somewhere. I think this is glued in. So why have that screw cap there? Why would I have a removable screw to something that's glued in? Really? Like, is there? Oh, there's another screw over here. So, but then it's caulked up here. So I would have to do the same thing here. If I need to remove this, I could take out these screws now and that shelf would stay up there because it's glued in. So what's the point? This one too is glued in. Like, it's glued along the top and it's glued here. I took out all 4 of these screws and this shelf stayed here because it's glued here. It was glued along here. It was glued along here and all along the top. So why have these 4 screw holes then if you're just going to glue the shelf in? It makes no sense. And again, that light switch is a 2-way switch, not a 3-way switch. This light switch over here that Suncoast Vans installed. Oh God, I can't do this now. Let's see. Put that down for just a second. This light switch that Suncoast Vans installed is a 3-way switch. So in theory, I should be able to get in bed and turn off the lights, but that's not actually the case. So the lights are on. So I go over here and try to get in bed. I'm just going to do this. Climb up in bed, which, yeah, that's a me thing. And then I go over here and I want to turn off the lights, but I can't. Right? Oh, and if I leave that on and I go over here, can I turn them off here? No, I can't turn them off here now because the light switch in bed is on. I can dim them from here. So now I'm going to turn off that one and go over here again, into the bed. There we go. And now I can turn off the light and on. So if they're both off, then I can use the bed switch. But if I turn on the bed switch, then I can't turn off the light by the door. I can dim it, but not turn it off. And if I turn on the light switch by the door, I can't turn it off from the bed. So there's clearly some electrical work that needs to be done. Yeah, and then just sitting in the van, there's glue there, and there's paint on my floor there, and there's paint on my $4,000 or $5,000 AC controller. Not the controller, but the whole system, right, was $4,000 or $5,000. But they've got paint all over the powder coating on this. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to remove that. You know, like even the outlets are crooked. But whatever. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I could not recommend. They were very nice to me. I did beg them to put in the windows. That's correct. But I did not beg them to finish my van build. Yeah, they just didn't. They didn't follow through. And the finish work. Yeah. Yeah, the finish, like just the cleanup, like really, like I have glue on my plastic. I have glue on my tires on the outside of the van. Also, that's awesome. And I'm not even sure like where was this glue used, which is a little disconcerting. Let's see, is it these tires? So there's glue on the outside of this tire, like on the rim, on the tire. This side, I thought I saw some more on this side, or maybe it was that back tire. So yeah, I don't know. New dent in the van. I don't know if you can see it. It's right here. I think I showed you that already. And I have not gotten up on the roof of the van. I'm a little bit terrified to get up there, to be honest. Because, yeah, this is just This back door also is scraping, so this is all gonna rust if I don't take care of it. And the door panels have to come off anyway. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. On the side slider door, they punched through with a screw from the inside. So when they were screwing on some wall panel, they punched through with a screw to the outside. And I can show you where. Actually, the body shop found this and showed me, so I can show you where. So it's this screw right here corresponds with this punch out over here. And the wall panel down here is not attached. And, you know, by the way, just not painted at the edge either. Like, this is the kind of finish work. It's all smashed up here. The end is not painted. The end here is not painted. Like, it's just not finished. It's like, look at that. And I dare say this is not Baltic birch plywood. I don't know. I need to check. This looks like Luan or something. I don't know. I need to check and find out. Yeah, I don't know what this is here. It looks like they put a plus nut in there and then patched the hole, but I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. This is all warping because it's not connected. These two pieces are not connected to one another. And that's like not finished. I mean, you get so much moisture in a van. Like, why wouldn't they prime both sides? The backside's probably not painted at all. Good Lord. I just like can't even. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. The first thing you do, like if you sell a house, right? The first thing you do is clean and paint the front door. And they didn't, like, look at all that crap in there. Like, they didn't clean it. And oh, they painted here. I think they painted, yeah, they painted there. So, like, really, you don't tape off? I don't know. I just don't even know how to wrap my head around. That piece of trim doesn't go all the way. This is like some weird, like, did they glue that? I just don't even understand. I don't know. It's depressing. So don't hire some van lifer that tells you that they know how to build a van. 2 for 2. Each of them did some things really well. You know, Suncoast Vans did nice paint and cabinet work. But they couldn't find their butt with both hands with the electrical and the plumbing. And they didn't listen. And they lied to me and took my van and put it in a driveway instead of starting it right away. They had no intention of meeting my deadline, but promised me they could. I had to cancel my summer trip. And then they asked me for an additional deposit of $13,550, saying that all my cabinets would be installed. And then the next time I went to the shop, my cabinets, like, some of them weren't even painted yet, much less installed. So they lied to me to get an additional deposit out of me when they knew that they were gonna miss my deadline by enough that I had to cancel my summer trip. Like, cancel it entirely. They were down to one worker in the shop who was the owner, and you know, he didn't have time to interview anybody. He didn't know when my van build would be done, and you know, he already had all of my money. So it just was, yeah. And then he sent a lawyer to me and wanted another $5,000. And then when I made it clear to the lawyer that they owed me $13,000, I didn't owe them $5,000. She said she was no longer representing them. So yeah, thank you, Alicia Buckman, for being sane. Anyway, Suncoast Vans did pretty nice cabinetry work. You know, the edge of the countertop was nice and softened. They didn't seal the countertop very well, but their cabinetry work overall was very nice. Our vanquest Gianna is wonderful, and she seems very reasonable. I think Jake is maybe very stressed out, and I can understand that. They have a new baby, and, you know, they're very pleasant, nice. But, you know, when I finally got to see my finished build that they did not walk me through, you know, I found some finish work things. I mean, I've detailed in this video even twice as much as what I actually asked them to fix. I will put a link below to my final email to them that I wanted to walk through with them the first chance I would have had the opportunity. And Jake called me on the phone, told me he didn't think I would ever be happy, and that, you know, yeah. I mean, a number of things that were highly offensive to the point where I did not want to interact with him at all ever again. And it was complete whiplash. And I just, you know, and now that I've had another week to sit with this, you know, over the Thanksgiving holiday, I just am really disappointed. Like, yeah, I mean, I no longer had a deadline. They had all the time in the world to finish this. Anytime they asked me for more money for anything that they perceived or I did add, I paid it. I never argued money with them. Not even when he told me he was going to charge me their shop rate. I think he said a discounted shop rate to do some of the finish work button-up stuff that I personally feel should have been included, but fine. I never argued. Then he accused me of wanting all this work done and him not charge me, and I was never going to be happy. And he just like went from 0 to 180 in literally 24 hours. And I just don't think that that's a stable person. Like, it felt really off to me. Gianna was like telling me that they wanted me to be happy too, and I deserved to be happy and whatever. And then Jake called me on the phone and lit me up. Like, I lost my breath. Like, I had to get off the phone with him and regroup. And that's not fair. You know, I spent a lot of money with his shop, with the other shop, and I just don't understand. But I definitely could not recommend either one of them. Even if I do like the crew, some of the people that worked at the business, and I do love some of the work, and I love that my van is sort of in quotes finished, but now I just feel like, I don't know. I'm going to have to do an awful lot of work to this van if I ever decide to sell it, because I would not feel comfortable handing this van over to somebody else without completely deconstructing it and making sure that the work was done properly. Because if the finish work is not done properly, I really worry about what the guts of it, you know. And I'm going to have to go hire an automotive electrician to once again look over the water, and I'm going to have to go to an RV place and have somebody once again look over the plumbing, because, you know, it doesn't give me confidence. And yeah, I want to be safe, and I definitely would want anybody else driving this van to be safe. And I want it to be watertight. So yeah, now I'm going to take apart the bed areas so that the body shop can, you know, do their thing.